What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I hope you're coming right from the last one where we talked about and we introduced the tried and true qualification process, right? So T stand for temperature, R stand for raise their hand, I stand for identify readiness, E stand for encourage and nurture. And in this presentation, we're going to talk about 100% around the discovery session. This is where you're going to actually have a meeting with the person. Now remember, we haven't sent any details over. We haven't sent them over pro formas and things like that yet, because what we want to find out is we want to find out what makes them tick. We want to find out how to present to them. More importantly, we want to find out their why. Okay, and we're going to dive more into that. So this might be a presentation that you may come back to many times. And what I've also done is created a questionnaire for you. And what I probably will do with this as well is I'll record some of this stuff and I'll transcribe some of my scripts. And maybe you can study them, rehearse them. Now here's the cool thing about scripts. Make sure if you're doing scripts that you have your own words, right? That you're authentic to who you are, right? You're authentic, you're true to and you're in your own voice. Find your voice, right? But in the time being, if you maybe go, well, I don't have my voice, I don't know what it is yet, Russ. So use some of these magic words that maybe I've used and maybe others have used. And be a student, right? Here's the thing is, what has worked on you? Right? Typically, sometimes we want to maybe have investment partners that are like us a little bit. So what are some of the things that worked on you that really compelled you to transform, compelled you to take action, compelled you to invest, right? And I've actually said this a lot of time is sometimes some of the best joint venture partners and money partners have been people who have been investors, right? Have put their money up because they know what they're looking for. They know that all the qualities, they know what they don't like, right? And then it also transpires back to that mirror exercise that we talked about before. List out all the qualities that you need to have to invest with somebody else. What do you need? All the qualities, the trustworthiness, the knowledge, the expertise, the commitment, the passion, the energy, all those things. And remember, you had to turn that list around and you had to become part of that as well. Okay, so I'm going to dive headfirst into the discovery session. This is, I think this is one of the most important parts of the concept, and you will have lots of, you will come back to this presentation many, many different times. And I hope I can keep this one short, but this is a meaty topic, and it is one that is very, very exciting. And I get very, very passionate. I get very fired up about this presentation because it is that important. So here's the cool thing during that meeting. You're not there to present. Okay, well, you're going, well, Russ, and then it's going to be ironic because towards the end, I'm going to talk about how to put together your investment package. Okay, but you're not there to present. You're not there putting on a formal presentation. You're actually there to inspire them. You have to share. You're going to talk about some of your experience. You're going to talk about some of the things you're learning. You're going to talk about some of the information. You're there to help them. Right? It's 100% in a position of how can I help you, okay? And what you then is you're gonna have a little bit of a deeper conversation, and ideally you wanna have it face-to-face. Now with technology nowadays, you can have, it's amazing. A platform I use all the time is Zoom conferencing. You can have investor meetings with people literally around the world. I was having an investor meeting with my joint venture partner, money partner, and he was in Korea for 3 months while he was over there vacationing, okay? So you can have meetings with people literally around the world, but ideally you'd like to have it face to face. Now, solving a problem. Now, here's a really cool story. If you actually watch the second interview I did with Arlen, talking about, the lead and generating lead and having, opening the door for conversation. If you actually watch towards that, he talked about one of his ways that he got investment partners on board is he would have a conversation with them. He'd start there, been just really crazy busy. We're buying a place and refinancing a place and we're really just honing in on what's the best refinance options that we can do for our investment portfolio. It's got a killer rate, because I have this wonderful relationship with my mortgage broker and my bank. We just got this awesome opportunity. Typically, when you lead in with that kind of conversation, people go, well, what did you get? Because everybody's looking for what should I do with my mortgage? How should I refinance? Should I renegotiate? Should I be in fixed? Should I be in variable? He actually used that entire conversation to have a conversation with somebody. Well, sitting there, let's talk about your mortgage. Let's talk about your place. What's it worth? What's your balance? What's your payments? Things like that. Here's the best type of thing that you might want to look at is blank. And I'm going to just use this as an example. Let's say it's a 4-year variable rate mortgage. Okay, and then what you can do is and go, oh, by the way, did you realize that you probably have access to $195,000 in equity here? Let me show some, boom, boom, boom. What's your plans? Do you have any plans to invest that $195,000? Great lead in for a conversation. Okay, so that's what we want to have for the meeting. So here's what I'm going to share with you. And it's the acronym of DAWN, D-A-W-N, okay, that we want to awaken our investment partners to DAWN, okay? So the first part is the D. The D stands for details. This is part of a questionnaire. Oh, and before I forget, I've created an entire questionnaire for you, so it outlines, it's broken out into the D-A-W-N of what the questions are for there as well. So you don't have to write out all the details. It all should be for there in that investor questionnaire. Okay, so the details of that, pretty straightforward, right? You know, who are you? Where do you live? Your address, you know, bonus tip I always get. I want to get their birth date, right? I want to get a mailing address because I want to send them a personalized thank you card at the end. You don't know how far it goes, how far it is, or how far you'll get by just sending a handwritten thank you card at the end, okay? And sending something knowing their birthday. Right? Just having all those things and just keeping track of all this information. If you watch the interview with Thomas Beyer, where he said how he first started, it was just an Excel spreadsheet. And then eventually it got so large, couldn't handle it. They had to then start putting it into some kind of a CRM database, okay? But just getting the details, you know, where you live, job, you know, what investment assets you own, just stuff like that, okay? The A in the DAWN formula is their ability. Are they, first of all, are they in a position that they need, that they maybe want to move forward, right? Are they, you know, for example, let's say one of the things you're looking for is the capital. Okay, do they actually have capital available that they can move forward? And where is that capital sitting? Is it in locked in funds? Is it in cash? Is it in equity in another place? So what is their ability to move forward? What is their ability to their investment appetite at the same time? So just understand a lot of those things. Now, here's the more important conversation around this is getting to their investor why. Okay, getting into the core foundation about why they want to invest with you. Now, check out that checklist. How's that for a double entendre? Check out the checklist. And on there, it gives a whole bunch of killer questions in there for you. I'm going to just cover a couple of them that will always come down to almost every time you have this conversation, okay? One of the things that I want to do is I want to set the framework for this. I want to set the context for what I call future pacing questions. I first learned this concept from a gentleman, the founder of Strategic Coach, Dan Sullivan, who put together this concept. I don't know if he was the founder or originator or creator of it, who knows. This is who I first heard it from as well, is what you want to do is you want to put your investment prospect into the future. Okay? You want them to paint the picture with emotion and feel what it would be like to have the result that a successful investment with you would create. Okay? You're putting them into the future. Okay? You want to paint that picture. You know, for example, you could sit there and you could go, well, let's just say maybe one of the things they like to do the most is their cottage. Okay? So let's say it's 5 years from now and you're sitting out at the cottage and the sun is going down on just one of those beautiful summer days, or summer evenings out in the Muskoka, and you're sitting on your Adirondack chair, and you got, and we're having a conversation, and you have your favorite beer, favorite beverage that we're having this conversation, and you hear the loons out in the distance, and it's just that sound of quiet, right? Can you hear it? Right? So you're painting that picture for them, and then you ask the question is, so it's 5 years from now. Let's say we did a deal today and we bought this house on ABC Street, and it generated the returns that we've talked about. Let's say it generated you $100,000 in 5 years. Okay? What would have had to have happened in that time frame for you to feel that this was a success? What would have had to happen along each of the steps of the way for you to fulfill upon what you're looking for? Okay, so what you're doing is you're putting people 5 years into the future and you're asking that question. What has to happen in the future? Now, I have to back up a little bit. I talked about, what would $100,000 look like to them. So typically you haven't maybe got them to establish what $100,000 is, right? I actually will ask them, what kind of return would you need to have in 5 years from now in order to make this a worthwhile investment, right? What is some meaningful amount of return that you need to have on your money, right? So put them 5 years into the future and explore that conversation, right? Really dive into the what's behind the scenes, what's underneath, what the governing reason why is. And then I call this one the $100,000 magical question. Most times, and I'm saying every time, some they might be talking about millions, right? And some hundreds of thousands. Some might even be 30, 40, 50. But typically it might come down to this. If they don't know what kind of return they need to get in, say, 5 to 7 years, okay, I will usually float out as, okay, let's say it's $100,000, okay, or whatever the investment opportunity I have, whatever the number that we return that, let's say 7 years is $95,000, okay. I'll ask the question is, let's say in 7 years you were able to get a return of $95,000 on your investment of $150,000, okay. What does that, rounding up to 100, what does that $100,000 mean to you? And then I shut up, I listen, okay? And then I'll ask the question is, why is that important to you? And then I'll shut up, I'll listen. And I'll keep diving deeper. I go, well, why is that important to you? Shut up, listen, why is that important to you? And then eventually you'll get to a point where something will snap, right? You'll see their eyes light up. They'll be just on fire, and they'll say, well, you know what? That would make all the difference in the world. That I know that we would have much more security in our family. We would have the kids' college education fund paid for, and we'd also be able to make sure that we took care of mom and dad at the same time. Or, you know what? We could be in a position that we could maybe put a down payment to buy the family farm out so dad could finally retire and he's not on the farm working anymore. Or maybe we'd be in a position that, you know what? We could actually buy the cottage from mom and dad in the family, and now it's our family legacy that we can have going forward. So whatever it is, okay, get to that point. The most important thing is establish a typical number, and let's just say it's $100,000, and then ask the question, what does that mean to you? Shut up and listen. Why is that important? Okay, and then even go 7 layers deep. It was an exercise I saw Dean Graziosi talked about this. If you keep asking the question, say 7 times and going 7 layers deep, eventually you will get down to the core of what it is. And it might be something of, you know what, it's just to prove to all the people that said I couldn't do it. Right? And maybe it's the chip on the shoulder. Maybe it's the ego. I don't know. Who knows, right? Or maybe it's just in, you know what, I can finally retire and I know that I'm taking care of the family. So we're diving deep into the psychology of the why for our investment partners as well. And then what I say is, so once I maybe get them to establish that framework of why it's important, the $100,000, why is that important? And more importantly, what does that mean to you? I then will ask the question, well, what's stopping you from doing that? And then I'll shut up and listen. Okay, typically they'll say, well, you know, what I need from them is to hear that, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have the investment opportunities. I just don't have a plan, right? So you get all those kind of feedback from them. What you want to hear from them is that they don't know what they're doing. They don't have the plan, and they don't maybe have the investment vehicle opportunities. They don't have the opportunities. Now what you are the bridge for them. Right? You're the bridge to help them fulfill upon their lifestyle aspirations, their goals, right? So remember, let's backtrack, let's bookend this. The Dawn formula is number 1 is details. The A stands for ability, W is why, and then N stands for next steps, okay? So here's when you're talking about with next steps here's where you're going to potentially ask for an order, right? You're going to ask for them, would you like my help? So here's what we've established. We've established that all your details, you actually have capital available. You have $150,000, and we can pull that potentially out of the personal residence as a line of credit. Fantastic. Here's your reason why. Eventually, in 7 years, you want to buy the family cottage, and you want to own that. You want to be able to buy that off of mom and dad so you can start having your new family memories of the cottage. Fantastic. In 7 years, we potentially can do that. And then what's stopping you from making that $100,000? We've established that I don't have a plan, I don't know why, I don't have any opportunities, I don't know what I'm doing. Got it, don't have time. Okay, all those kind of things. And then what you then say is, well, here's what I'm doing. I'm here to help you be a bridge to get there. I'm the vehicle that I can help you. You're investing in myself and an investment opportunity. And would you like my help to get you there? Would you like my help to help you generate $100,000 in 7 years so that you can buy the family cottage from mom and dad so you can start creating your own family memories out there at the lake? Would that be something you'd like my help with? I need an answer. I'm not saying I'm pushing you. You need an answer, yes or no. Typically is if it's, well, no, I'm not sure, you need to probably dive a little deeper into a reason why, okay? Or maybe they don't believe that it can be done, right? Or maybe they don't believe that you have the ability to do that. Then you can show them your plan. You can show them what your investment opportunities and some next steps from there. Okay, so just some really key thing from there. So I'm going to share with you the next step. So that's the Dawn formula. Details, right? Ability, reason why, and next steps. A very, very fluid conversation, but really the crux of all of that is that you want to find out if the person is able to invest, if they're willing to invest, and most importantly is what is their underlying reason why they want to invest, and what is their expected return, and more importantly than the expected return is what does that money mean to them and what would they do with it. Another killer thing is, so let's say you made that $100,000 in 7 years. What would you do with the money? Oh, I'd go buy a truck. Okay, well, what else would you do with it? Oh, I'd buy a golf membership. Okay, well, what else would you do with it? Well, you know what, that's where, I always wanted to buy out mom and dad's, the position of the lake, the cottage out at the lake. Now you got more important than the truck and the membership, you got a governing reason underneath. And then what you start doing is now your investment conversation and your investment opportunity is Operation Candle Lake buyout, right? Or whatever you want to do. You frame it around their why of helping them fulfill it. Remember, you're the bridge. Okay, so here's the presentation formula of what you maybe want to put together. Now, we're only going to do this presentation after we've had the discovery session, because you maybe have to go back and you maybe have to tailor your presentation a little bit more based upon what you just learned from the discovery session, right? For example, in this scenario, it talks about buying the cottage from the lake. Okay, so in your presentation you're going to do, what kind of pictures are you going to have in the presentation deck? You're going to have pictures of the lakes, you're going to have pictures of the loons, you're going to have pictures of the log cabin, you're going to have a picture of an aerial map of where the cottage is, and you're going to frame your entire presentation around their governing why. Right? You see, that's why it's important you have the discovery session before you make the presentation, because I have all this information now about what they're looking for. Now I can make an unbelievable, fulfilling presentation that meets all their needs, increasing the chances of success. Okay, so here's what I call it the why presentation formula. Number one is why it's important. Right? Why it's important that somebody takes financial control of their future. And you can easily get some stats and things like that online about, 53% of people are only 2 paychecks away, and most people can't afford to take a vacation, and yada, yada, yada. All those why it's important that you take financial control of your investment opportunities. Then I would share a presentation about why real estate. Why is real estate a good opportunity, and why should they be, why is this a time to invest in real estate? Maybe you have a model of the 5 reasons why real estate is a great opportunity. For example, is cash flow, depreciation, mortgage pay down, different things like that. So what is your model of why you think real estate is a good investment opportunity? Maybe it's an opportunity that it's a better tax, it's tax preferred, all kind of wonderful things like that. The next is why the area that you've selected. Right? Let's say your area that you invest in is Barrie, Ontario. Why is Barrie a really good investment opportunity? Here's where it is within the investment cycle. Here's the opportunities in there. And then why your type of property? Like why should they invest in you? But more importantly, why is this your bread and butter type of property? Okay. The next of this is the why from it is why your strategy. Let's say you have a unique strategy of buy, renovate, refinance, and rent out. okay? And that's your strategy. Or maybe it's just straight buy and hold, okay? Whatever it is, why is your strategy a fantastic investment opportunity for you to get to? And then the last couple is why you? What is maybe some of your experience? Right? Some of the people that you've dealt with, some of the people that you've worked with, some of the people that have been investment partners to you. So why you? And then the last one is why now? Right? Why now and next steps? Why is now the good opportunity to invest, and why should they sign up now? Why is it a fantastic opportunity now? So what you've done is you've walked them through. Think about this. You've walked them through why it's important, right? You talked about why real estate. You've talked about why your area. You've talked about why the type of property. You talked about why your strategy. You've talked about you, right? And you've talked about why now is the right time to get involved. And you framed everything in that entire wire presentation around being a bridge and helping them fulfill upon their governing reason why. In this case scenario, helping to buy the cottage at the lake so they can start the new family memories with their family. Got it? Okay, so those are the things from there. So a couple other things from here is just a couple more tips. So here's a couple more tips I want to share with you. Remember that you use the information they give you, right? What they provide you for information. So if they provide you information about what's stopping them, or what's frustrating them, or what their governing intention is underneath, and what they would do with the $100,000, you use that information to build into your presentation, right? Remember, you're the bridge, you're the vehicle, you help deliver their why, right? You solve the pain, you fulfill the dream, okay? Solve the pain, fulfill the dream. So that's what your presentation is. Now, if you think about that, if you use what they provide you, you are a vehicle and you're a bridge to help them get to their financial goals. You help deliver upon their why, and you solve their pain and fulfill their intentions. You will have more yeses in the investment arena on a go-forward basis. Okay, so some next steps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this presentation in with the previous model as well, and to wrap up this whole module, okay, into the two presentations of that. So we talked about the tried and true qualification model, right? So we talked about all the things within that you need to qualify the people, right? Determine their temperature, right? Get them to raise their hand, identify readiness, right? Encourage and nurture, right? And then the last one is the discovery session. So that's the tried and true formula, okay? The next step in the process is the dawn, right? Awaken your investors. We talk about the details, right? Your ability, their reason why, and next steps. So make sure you follow that formula as well. Then you're going to put together your why presentation deck, right? Why this is a good opportunity, why the strategy, why the area, why real estate, why it's important, why you, why now. Okay, a fantastic opportunity for you as well. And then you're going to do the work, right? You're going to go out there and you're going to make presentations, and you're going to fall flat on your face, and you're going to say the wrong words, and you're going to stumble over things, and you're going to have outtakes and cuts, just like I just had about 10 of them in this video alone, right? But you don't care, right? What you're here to do is you're here to make sure you fulfill upon dreams of somebody else. All right, so the last tip I'm going to offer is this. Here's the last tip. Is anytime you ever make a presentation to an investment partner, is focus 100% upon them, right? Focus on their needs, focus on their requirements, and focus on if you can help them. And be honest. If you can't help them, tell them, right? You have this goal and this dream and this aspiration. I don't know if I can help you. But if you can, wow, this is fantastic. So here's a thought. Here's what we're going to do is we're maybe going to do this. We can invest it into this place on ABC Avenue. Based upon my financial projections, in 7 years, it could generate the $100,000. And based on your share of the equity you would get would be $100,000. And from that, you'd be able to potentially buy out the cottage at the lake, right? Is this something you want to move forward with? So I'm always 100% focused on what they're looking for. Okay, so let's wrap this up. So here's a couple quick action steps. Action step number 1 is make sure you customize the qualification process to your needs, okay? Make sure you customize it. Take the checklist I've given you and use the tried and true method of things. But at the end of the day, it's your process, right? Sometimes your investors might be so ready to take action, you skip all those other steps. Or some of them might take years, right? I had an investment partner that I worked with that I think it was probably 3 or 4 years to the day almost, very within, give or take, right? From when we first contact to eventually we talked, we eventually did a deal. And a wonderful interview with Thomas Byer. Thomas shared, what was the story? Thomas shared that, you know, always having a deal. One of his top tips was always having a deal available. And you just never know. Somebody might not be ready now, but 6 years down the road, they'll be ready now. And if you keep continually constant communication consistently with them, maybe they'll be ready down the road. So always having one of those deals on the go as well. Okay, put together your why real estate package, right? Put together that entire package of, you know, why you, why area, why now, why this strategy, and why the area, all kind of things like that. So put together that presentation and then book those discovery sessions. And here's the thing is, book more sessions. As many sessions as you book, book more, okay? Keep presenting more. It's funny, I've done this for so long that I usually get, I get this happen many times, is somebody will always come up to me and say, I'm just struggling, I'm just not getting investment partners. I go, okay, time out for a second. How many meetings have you, how many discovery sessions, how many investor meetings have you had? Well, I've had 3. Okay, time out. After you've had 300 and you haven't had any yeses, maybe let's have another conversation. So truly it comes down to a numbers game with a lot of this. The more people you present to, the more you follow the tried and true process, the more you follow the dawn, awaken your investors at dawn around the discovery session, right? The more you follow that, more you get your own voice, the more you get your own confidence, the more you get your own pace, the more you start doing that work, and the more times you fail and the more times you hear no, you keep cleaning it up, you keep improving it, and you will slow and steady become an overnight success. Okay, so the next module is coming up right around the bend, so you may want to jot down some notes from this one. This was a big, deep, meaty module. Before you dive into the next module of talking about the win-win strategies and the win-win deals and how to structure it, I maybe think there's a lot of homework to do from this one. Maybe watch it 2 or 3 more times, get into that checklist, learn all about the tried and true, and also awaken your investors at dawn, okay? And then the next step in this process is we're going to how to structure those win-win deals. But the most important thing is you have good qualified investors. The more you qualify the investor and the better you qualify the investor upfront, the easier it will be to structure your deals. Okay, all right guys, hope you enjoyed this module. Come back, keep checking in, keep diving in, keep giving feedback, keep engaging in the Facebook community. The next lesson is waiting for you, and I'm just having so much fun delivering all these interviews for you. The next interview is waiting for you too. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Whew, I also need a drink. Okay, have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye for now.